They laughed. They always laugh before they realize you're not playing the game they set. They thought you were weak. They thought you were another pawn, another predictable little life moving along the lines they drew. But here's the secret: pawns that don't bend, pawns that don't beg, pawns that stare back without flinching, those are the ones even the devil notices. And yes, even he stops, even chaos hesitates, because strength, real strength, doesn't scream. It doesn't need applause, it just exists and it dominates. Look around, everyone wants to own your attention, your energy, your time, your loyalty. They want to rent your mind while they laugh at the rent. Free entertainment they think they provide. Fools. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. The moment you stop defending yourself, the moment you stop explaining, the moment you stop begging for acknowledgement, that's the moment the world pauses. Even the devil pauses. Do you know why? Because they recognize instinctively what you haven't said yet. They see it in your eyes. They feel it in your silence. You are not fragile. You are not predictable. You are a storm contained in a human frame, and storms cannot be negotiated with. Storms cannot be bargained with. You cannot bribe a hurricane. You cannot explain the ocean. You can only survive it, or you get swept away. I'm not telling you to smile. I'm not telling you to forgive. I'm telling you to cultivate presence. Darkness is not something you fight. Darkness is something you harness. You've been burned, lied to, cheated, mocked, dismissed, and yet here you are. You're still breathing. You're still here. That's more than most. That's enough to make them uneasy. That's enough to make the devil pause and think, maybe this one is different. You've been underestimated because people are stupid. They only see the surface. They only notice what's loud, flashy, and obvious. They never see the quiet ones plotting, the ones who absorb every insult and convert it into fuel. And fuel is dangerous. Fuel can set the world on fire. Fuel can turn weakness into power. Fuel can make the invisible strike like lightning. So laugh with them, nod. Pretend to be one of the small, weak, ordinary lives around you. Let them assume victory. Let them think they understand the rules of the game. And then, when they're comfortable, when they've breathed in their false sense of superiority, you act. Not loud, not reckless, calculated, precise, like a shadow cutting across a sun they thought was safe. That's when the devil stops. That's when respect is demanded without a single word. Fear is beautiful, fear is currency, but respect is eternal. And respect is given only when the other side realizes they can't touch you. And here's the thing, no one gives it to you. You take it quietly, relentlessly. Every decision, every sacrifice, every second you don't let them see you sweat. That is a deposit in your account of untouchable authority. You think they'll forgive you. They won't. You think they'll notice you. Only when it's too late. You think the devil will let you walk freely without testing you. He will pause. Not because you are loud, not because you are flashy. He will pause because you are untouchable in ways no one else is. You are a paradox, calm in the chaos, stillness in the storm, precision in the madness. And paradoxes are terrifying. The first lesson, silence. Learn it, master it, observe the chaos around you. Let people talk, manipulate, cheat, steal, betray. Let them reveal their weakness. Because here's the brutal truth, people show you who they really are if you just watch quietly. Every lie, every betrayal, every attempt to humiliate you, they've handed you the tools of your power. They built you brick by brick without even knowing it. Even the devil built you. The second lesson, patience. The world rewards the impatient with scars, regret, and humiliation. You will not be rushed. You will not be cajoled. You will not bow. Let them believe they are winning while you accumulate power silently. Accumulate knowledge. Accumulate strategy. Accumulate an aura so sharp, so precise, so undeniable that when you finally move, they'll look up and wonder how the hell you were invisible all this time. The third lesson, ruthlessness. Not random violence, not chaos for fun. Ruthlessness in self-preservation, ruthlessness in ambition, ruthlessness in the accumulation of your dominance. When they see it, they will flinch. When they realize you cannot be bargained with, controlled, or understood, even the devil stops. Even the embodiments of chaos take note, because real power is not loud. Real power is inevitable. Here's the part most people never understand: a pain is your ally. Betrayal is your mentor. disrespect is your fuel. And the moment you embrace that truth, the moment you stop begging for fairness, the moment you stop apologizing for existing, that's the moment the devil pauses. That's the moment the world leans in, curious, wary, nervous. That's when your presence becomes a statement: I exist, I endure, I conquer, and I do not need permission to be. This is the reality. No one respects weakness. No one fears gentleness. No one pauses for the soft, the small, the obedient. Respect comes from mastery, from danger, from the aura of inevitability. When you walk into a room, when you take your first breath of the day, when you face every challenge, the invisible measure of your dominance precedes you. And yes, even the devil notices. So, here's your instruction: stop apologizing for existing. Stop begging to be seen. Stop playing by the rules of fools. Watch, wait, build, endure. Take everything they threw at you and turn it into strength. Watch yourself grow so quiet, so precise, so inevitable that respect cannot be denied. Fear cannot be faked. Authority cannot be ignored. And then the world, the chaos, the devil himself will pause. Because finally they see you. You are no longer the prey. You are the storm. You are the shadow they cannot outrun. You are the calm in the chaos. And even the devil stops. Even the devil respects what cannot be touched, what cannot be predicted, what cannot be broken. Even the devil sees you truly, and he hesitates. They smiled at you once. They believed in you once. They laughed at your dreams, mocked your ambition, and assumed you would crumble under the weight of their indifference. How naive they were. How deliciously blind. They didn't know that every insult, every betrayal, every casual dismissal was a brick in your foundation. They never saw it coming because you were quiet, patient, calculating, invisible until the moment of inevitable dominance. The world is a stage of fools. They parade around thinking they understand cause and effect, action and consequence. They don't. They never do. They never will. Life doesn't reward the loud, the flashy, the easily swayed. Life rewards the silent, the precise, the ones who turn every slight into fuel, every rejection into momentum. And that's exactly who you are. They'll never see it coming because they never had the eyes to see the storm growing inside you. It starts small. A whisper of doubt in their minds. A flicker of fear they can't explain. You didn't need to fight, to shout, to make them notice. You just waited. You absorbed. You learned. Every betrayal, every deceit, every lie was a lesson in human weakness. They handed you the blueprint for their own destruction without even realizing it. And when you finally move, when the first subtle signs of your power ripple through their carefully constructed little lives, chaos erupts, and they cry, why? Why didn't we see this coming? They will always underestimate you. It is their nature. It is why predators exist, why the cunning survive, why the world trembles at shadows they refuse to understand. They believe strength is obvious. They believe danger shouts. They believe fear is loud. But you've learned differently. You've learned that quiet storms destroy better than hurricanes, that patience is sharper than swords, that inevitability is more terrifying than rage. Look at them, the ones who laughed, the ones who sneered, the ones who mocked your solitude, your discipline, your silence. They thought they could shape you. They thought they could control you. They thought they had power. Oh, how wrong they were. The same hands that tried to bury you created the weapon they never expected. They fueled a fire they cannot extinguish. They crafted a storm they cannot survive. And yes, you've been broken. You've been betrayed. You've been humiliated. But here's the exquisite truth. That pain doesn't weaken you. It sharpens you. It tempers you. It molds you into something they will never understand, something they will never anticipate. Every scar is a lesson. Every wound is a strategy. Every rejection is a map guiding you to dominance. And when they finally realize what they've done, it will be too late. Too late to apologize. Too late to repair. Too late to stop the inevitable. You see, the thrill isn't just in the act of rising. The thrill is in their confusion. The thrill is in watching them stumble in the darkness you created with your silence. The thrill is in knowing that every attempt they made to break you, every manipulation, every insult, every betrayal only made you stronger, only made you unstoppable, only made you the predator in a world full of prey. Here's the dark truth: the people around you, the so-called friends, the colleagues, the lovers, the mentors, they are all predictable. They always overreach. They always reveal their weaknesses. They always give you the keys to their own defeat. They never anticipate the patient storm, the slow, quiet accumulation of power. And when the first tremors of your presence touch them, when they feel the weight of inevitability pressing down on their carefully constructed illusions, they panic, they beg, they cry, and they never saw it coming. You can play their games, you can follow their rules, you can beg for their approval, or you can watch, calculate, and move when the time is right. The former is what weak people do. The latter is what legends do. The latter is what leaves even the devil pausing, even chaos hesitating, even fate itself adjusting to your presence. Because power taken silently, with precision, with inevitability, is far more terrifying than power demanded loudly and recklessly. So smile while they plot, nod while they conspire, absorb while they scheme. Let them believe they have the upper hand. Let them drown in their overconfidence, in their arrogance, in their inability to see the storm inside you. Let them whisper among themselves, "She's harmless, he's nothing," because by the time they realize the truth, the predator has already emerged. The storm is already uncontainable, and the respect they never gave you, they will fear it, they will fear you. And they'll remember too late who created this monster. Even the devil, the embodiment of chaos, even he hesitates when inevitability walks into the room, because he knows the silent patient, calculating storm cannot be bargained with, cannot be explained, cannot be destroyed. He knows that the quiet one, the one underestimated, the one who took the blows and converted them into power, is untouchable. He knows that when the predator finally moves, there is no escape, there is no pleading, there is no mercy, only acknowledgement, only the raw, unfiltered weight of what they never anticipated. You are the silence before the scream, the calm before the hurricane, the shadow no one can outrun, and every misstep, every betrayal, every underestimation from those around you has been fuel. Fuel for the monster you never intended to create, fuel for the predator they will never forget, fuel for the unstoppable force that moves with inevitability, precision, and cold calculation. And when the world finally sees what you've become, even the devil pauses. Even chaos hesitates, and they realize too late that they never saw this coming. Stop hoping. Stop looking at the world as if it owes you mercy, fairness, or a handout. It doesn't. Never has, never will. The moment you realize this is the moment you become untouchable. Everyone around you is busy playing pretend, smiling, pretending, lying, deceiving themselves. They wait for salvation from outside, from luck, from circumstance, from other people. That's weakness. That's why they falter. That's why they break. That's why they never rise. You are your own salvation. You always were. The world has no patience for weakness. It laughs at it. It chews it up. It spits it out. They called you not of, kind, soft. They whispered that you're too trusting, too gentle, too distracted by their games to survive. And maybe for a moment you believed them. Maybe you thought someone else would save you, guide you, rescue you from the trap life set. But life isn't fair. Life doesn't care. And that's the beauty of it. It's pure, raw, and honest. It punishes the weak. It elevates the cunning. And if you understand that, you will understand your own power. Look at every betrayal, every deceit, every friend who vanished when things got hard, every mentor who smiled while stabbing you in the back, every lover who left without explanation. They were all lessons. They were all warnings. They were all fragments of truth screaming at you, nobody is coming. Nobody will save you. Nobody. And that's when the truth hits like a blade to the chest. Salvation doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. You are the only hand strong enough to lift yourself out of the pit. You are the only mind capable of building the fortress no one can break. You are the only force that will rise when the world tries to crush you. You have been handed pain as a weapon. You have been handed disappointment as ammunition. You have been handed betrayal as a blueprint, and every second you spent hoping someone else would intervene was wasted. Stop waiting, stop begging, stop crying, and start seeing clearly. You are the storm that everyone else fears, even before they recognize it. You are the predator, quietly observing, silently learning, patiently waiting to unleash what they never expected. It's funny, isn't it? how people believe in fairness, how they believe in love, how they believe in loyalty, how they believe in the illusion that someone will always be there. They are fools. They are prey. And their mistakes are your lessons. They handed you the map to their weaknesses without knowing it. They gave you the blueprint to your own dominance without realizing it. And now you know the truth. The only person who can save you, guide you, elevate you is yourself. Always has been, always will be. Look in the mirror, not for vanity, not for reflection, not to admire your scars. Look for truth. Look for the monster within. Look for the force they underestimated. Look for the predator that patience and pain have forged. That is your savior, not them, not fate, not chance. You. Every decision, every sacrifice, every sleepless night has built you. Every tear, every wound, every slight has sharpened you. And now you are unstoppable. Now you are unshakable. Now you are untouchable. Because you finally see it, there is no one else to rely on. There never was. They will try to tell you differently. They will lure you with empty promises. They will attempt to manipulate your desire for companionship, for guidance, for understanding. They will act like they care. They will act like they can rescue you. But you've seen the truth. You've been betrayed too many times. You've been left behind too many times. You've been underestimated too many times. You've learned to see the strings before they are pulled, the traps before they are set, the daggers before they strike. And now you trust only yourself. The world doesn't understand the quiet ones, the patient ones, the ones who observe, who absorb, who calculate, who wait for the perfect moment. They don't understand that every act of restraint, every moment of silence, every hour spent mastering themselves is preparation for power. And when you move, when you finally rise, it's not sudden. It's inevitable. It's precise. It's surgical. It's terrifying. And they can't stop it. They never could, because they built the very force they now fear. You built your own savior. You built your own power. You built yourself. And now here is the cruel, exquisite truth. The people who abandoned you, who betrayed you, who laughed at your struggle, they envy you. They fear you. They wish they could undo the awakening you refuse to postpone. They pray they can corrupt what you've built. They tremble at the idea of your independence, and they will never understand it. They will never grasp the magnitude of self-reliance, of inner power, of the monster that grows in silence, nurtured by pain, discipline, and clarity. You've stopped begging. You've stopped hoping. You've stopped depending. And that's the moment the world begins to fear you. That's the moment the predator emerges from the ashes of your former self. That's the moment you realize salvation doesn't come from outside. It never did. It never will. And the beauty of it, you don't need anyone else. You are the storm. You are the force. You are the savior. You are the inevitable. And they will see it soon enough. Too late, of course. Always too late. This is your reality now. Your strength, your power, your survival. It comes from you. And only you. You've been tested, you've been broken, you've been doubted, and yet here you stand, not waiting, not relying, only acting, only moving, only building. The monster you've created within yourself is unstoppable, untouchable, undeniable. And in this world of fools, only one thing matters: your ability to trust no one but yourself, to rely on no one but your own instincts, to rise above the weak, the deceived, the hopeless masses. You are your own savior. And the devil, chaos, and the world itself will all pause in recognition, for they know the truth too. You no longer wait for salvation, you are it. Betrayal isn't an accident, it's not random, it's deliberate, precise. A scalpel that cuts deeper than any blade, that leaves a scar you'll never forget. The people you trusted, the ones you let in, the ones you believed had your back, they were teaching you all along. They were giving you the syllabus for survival. But you didn't see it then. You thought it was cruelty. You thought it was injustice. You thought the world had singled you out to suffer. No, they were your teachers, and you failed to attend class until now. Every whisper behind your back, every smile that hid malice, every hand extended with ulterior motives, it was a lesson. You were being trained, tested, prepared for the storm that only the strong survive. Pain wasn't a punishment, it was a curriculum. Rejection wasn't a loss, it was a prerequisite. Disappointment wasn't a weakness, it was a warning sign. And now you understand that betrayal is the ultimate teacher, and its lessons are unforgiving. They are brutal, they are merciless, and you cannot ignore them. When they left, when they laughed, when they abandoned you, it wasn't because you were weak. It was because you were blind. Blind to the truth that the world is selfish, that loyalty is rare, that love is conditional. Blind to the fact that everyone has a limit and everyone has an agenda. Blind to the reality that you cannot depend on anyone else to validate your existence or protect your back. The betrayal you felt wasn't personal, it was universal. And it was designed to wake you up, to push you into the clarity of self-reliance, to force you to recognize that your survival depends on one thing only: you. There is no magic in forgiveness. There is no salvation in apologies. There is no relief in explanation. They betrayed you because they are human, flawed, selfish, fragile, petty. They acted according to the rules of their nature, not according to any code you imagined existed. And your mistake, the one that almost cost you everything, was expecting otherwise. That expectation made you weak. That expectation made you vulnerable. That expectation opened the door for them to teach you the lesson you should have learned from the start. Trust is earned. Loyalty is tested. Power is claimed. And anything less leaves you exposed, bleeding and begging. The moment you internalize this, the moment you feel the sharp clarity of betrayal as fuel rather than poison, you change. You evolve. You stop being prey. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you from their deceit. You become the predator who understands the game, who sees the trap before it snaps, who moves with precision, patience, and cold calculation. Betrayal shapes you. Betrayal refines you. Betrayal molds you into someone they will fear, not because you retaliate, but because you are untouchable. You understand the rules, and now you write your own. Do not mistake this for anger. Do not confuse it with revenge. Do not let the fire of betrayal burn you without purpose. That is what they want. That is what every manipulator, deceiver, and opportunist hopes for, that your pain will chain you, that your tears will blind you, that your hope will make you fragile. But now with clarity you see betrayal is not the enemy. Ignorance is, complacency is, naivety is. You survived what they thought would destroy you. You thrived when they believed you would collapse. You learned when they assumed you would ignore the lessons. And now, you are stronger, sharper, untouchable. Every scar, every wound, every cut they left in your mind and heart, it is a medal, a symbol of endurance, a mark of evolution. You wear it proudly, not as proof of weakness, but as evidence of transformation. The pain they inflicted didn't break you, it built you. The lies they told didn't confuse you, they clarified your vision. The abandonment they delivered didn't hurt you, it liberated you. And the best part, they never intended this. They never imagined that their betrayal would create something unstoppable, something ferocious, something untouchable. You did that yourself, and now the tables have turned, not with violence, not with revenge, not with confrontation, but with the quiet, lethal precision of someone who knows the rules and refuses to play by theirs. You move differently. You see differently. You act differently. You are no longer naive. You are no longer dependent. You are no longer the person they could manipulate, deceive, or control. You are the storm that walks in silence, the predator hidden in plain sight, the force that will leave them wondering how it all went wrong. And the answer is simple: betrayal taught you. Your only obligation now is to keep learning, to keep evolving, to keep becoming untouchable. Each new encounter, each new challenge, each new attempt at manipulation, it's an opportunity to refine yourself further. Every person who disappoints, deceives, or betrays you is a mirror reflecting your own resilience, your own strength, your own clarity. They are the teachers. You are the student who graduates first, who walks away with the diploma others begged for, who steps into power that no one else dares to claim. And in that power lies freedom. Freedom from expectation, freedom from dependency, freedom from the illusion that someone else controls your fate. The world will always betray you if you allow it. Friends, lovers, colleagues, strangers, they will all eventually show their true nature. And that's not evil, that's reality, that's life. And the sooner you accept it, the sooner you stop being a victim. The sooner you stop being prey, the sooner you stop being lost in the illusions others create. You are your own savior. And betrayal is the crucible that proves it. Every scar, every sting, every wound, every lie, it has forged something terrifying, beautiful, and unstoppable. So embrace the lessons, study the pain, absorb the fire, and know this: every betrayal is a gift if you have the mind to receive it. Every abandonment is a chance to grow. Every deception is a blueprint for mastery. And when you finally rise, when you finally walk past the ruins of their illusions, they will see it. They will tremble, they will regret, and you will not look back. Because the teacher has done their work, the student has graduated, and now you are unstoppable. You've been lying to yourself for years, pretending that their actions didn't matter, pretending that you're strong when you've been broken, pretending that hope is real when it's just a trick, a leash, a chain disguised as freedom. Every comforting thought you clung to, every rationalization you whispered to quiet the pain, it was a lie, and you fed it willingly like a fool feeding a parasite. The world doesn't care about your excuses. Life doesn't pause for your comfort, and no one is obligated to make you feel safe, loved, or understood. The lies you tell yourself are a cage, and it's your own hands that lock the door. You tell yourself, "I'm strong enough." No. You are as strong as the truth you face, and you've been blind, staring at illusions, pretending the fire around you was warmth. You tell yourself they'll come back. No, they won't. They never intended to stay. They never wanted to be loyal. They never respected your boundaries. You told yourself that compromise, patience, and forgiveness were strength. They are not. They are chains. And the longer you cling to them, the deeper you sink. You lie to yourself about control. You believe that if you just think positively, if you just work harder, if you just trust longer, you can influence outcomes. You cannot. Life doesn't bend for anyone. People will disappoint. Circumstances will betray. Systems will collapse. And the truth is this: the only control you have is over yourself, your actions, your reactions, your mindset. Everything else is smoke and mirrors. Everything else is a game. And you've been playing it like a child while thinking you are a master. The lies aren't subtle. They are loud. They scream in your ear every time you give someone the benefit of the doubt. They whisper in the dark when you justify another's cruelty. They dance in your mind when you pretend failure is temporary and that loyalty exists in abundance. The truth: loyalty is rare. Trust is expensive. Pain is inevitable. And comfort is the greatest illusion of all. Every time you convince yourself that the world is kind, that people are honest, that life is fair, you are setting yourself up for destruction. And yet, we cling to these lies because the truth is unbearable. Stop lying. Stop rationalizing. Stop pretending. The moment you accept that your life is yours and yours alone, that everyone else is a potential threat or a temporary ally, you begin to see the patterns. You see who is toxic. You see who is deceptive. You see who is weak, who is selfish, who is dangerous, and you stop expecting the world to validate you. You stop expecting others to love you unconditionally. You stop begging for approval. The lies are stripped away and suddenly clarity emerges. Pain becomes a teacher. Betrayal becomes a roadmap. Silence becomes a weapon. And you realize that everything you thought was weakness was actually preparation. You lie to yourself about forgiveness. You tell yourself that forgiving them will set you free. It won't. Forgiveness is for the knave. Forgiveness is for those who need comfort instead of strength. Freedom is claiming power over your mind, over your emotions, over your decisions. Freedom is removing the anchors they threw at your feet and walking forward with your eyes wide open. The lies you tell yourself about mercy, fairness, and second chances only prolong your suffering. When you finally drop them, when you finally stop pretending you step into your true power, you tell yourself, "I can't survive this alone." That is the biggest lie of all. You can, you have. Every betrayal you endured, every disappointment you faced, every loss you swallowed, they were preparing you for self-mastery. The moment you stop believing you need others to complete you, you stop being prey. The moment you embrace your solitude, you stop being weak. The moment you recognize that no one else owes you anything, you begin to rewrite the rules. And the lies, they die quietly in the background while you rise untouchable and fierce. Self-deception is comforting because truth hurts, but comfort is death disguised as life. Pain is real. Suffering is inevitable. Betrayal is guaranteed. And yet, within that darkness, there is power. The power you've been denying yourself by lying, by rationalizing, by pretending. That power exists only when you see reality for what it is and act accordingly. Stop pretending the world is fair. Stop pretending people are loyal. Stop pretending life owes you kindness. Step into the raw, brutal truth and watch yourself transform into someone they will never see coming. The lies you tell yourself are the final enemy. They are more dangerous than any traitor, any competitor, any predator. Because while they hide in plain sight, you feed them willingly, and they grow stronger with every day you ignore them. It's time to confront them. Admit it, you've been weak where you thought you were strong, dependent where you thought you were independent, blind where you thought you saw. Face it, embrace it, and then destroy it, because nothing in the world can harm you like your own self-deception. And nothing in the world can free you like truth. From this moment on, every lie you tell yourself dies. Every rationalization you cling to crumbles. Every illusion shatters. You stop believing in false hope. You stop giving energy to people who don't deserve it. You stop pretending the world owes you anything. And what emerges is you, raw, unfiltered, lethal. You see clearly. You act decisively. You walk alone, but walk unbroken. You move through life with the awareness that no one can betray you if you trust only yourself. The lies you tell yourself are seductive. They whisper promises of comfort. They offer the illusion of safety. They hide the truth in sugar-coated words. But they are poison. And when you strip them away, when you confront the uncomfortable, when you stare into the abyss of reality, you become unstoppable. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every failure, they become ammunition. Every lesson becomes a weapon, and every step forward becomes proof that you are no longer a child playing at strength, but a master of survival. Truth is harsh, but it liberates. Lies are soft, but they enslave. Choose reality, choose clarity, choose power. The moment you stop lying to yourself, you stop being anyone's victim. You stop being anyone's fool. You stop being anyone's liability. You stop waiting for the world to play fair and start playing by your own rules. And in that moment, you are free, truly, dangerously, beautifully free. You've been lied to, not by strangers, not by the world, but by the illusions you've built in your own head. Love, loyalty, devotion, words that sound soft, comforting, sacred. But they're not. They're bait. They're a trap wrapped in a velvet smile, a dagger and a hug, a mask for the weak who want to feel safe. You've given yourself to them, heart first, only to realize too late that the chains were invisible and the lock was always theirs. Every I care, every I'm here, I've got you, was a test, and you failed by believing it. People are selfish. They are predators wearing faces of warmth. Loyalty is conditional. Love is transactional. And your innocence, your hope, your willingness to trust, they are weaknesses. They are tickets for betrayal. You were blind because you wanted to see beauty in darkness. You wanted to find the good in those who thrived on taking what wasn't theirs to take. But the world doesn't bend for your morals. It doesn't hesitate for your kindness. And the moment you realize that, the moment you accept that love and loyalty are illusions in a sea of selfishness, you begin to rise. Stop expecting constancy. Stop expecting fairness. Stop expecting honesty. Stop expecting devotion. Stop waiting for someone to validate your worth. Because it's not coming, not in the form you imagined, not from those you trusted, not from anyone. Every relationship you thought was sacred is built on shifting sands. Every handshake you thought meant agreement can turn into a weapon aimed at your back. Every promise made in whispered tones can shatter into dust when you need it most. The pain from these realizations isn't punishment, it's education. The sting of betrayal, the cold of neglect, the burn of broken promises, they are the forge. And in that fire you are tempered, hardened, sharpened. You realize that your expectation of loyalty is a trap you set for yourself. You realize that your definition of love is a weakness you carry like armor that never protected you. You realize that the moment you let go of illusions, the moment you stop clinging to fantasies, you stop being prey. You become untouchable. Because when you stop chasing loyalty, when you stop begging for love, when you stop worshiping others' approval, something terrifying happens. You stand alone, and you are stronger than any bond they could have offered. Solitude is power, self-reliance is supremacy, and the world that once tried to manipulate you with affection now watches in silent fear. They realize you no longer need them. And that's when respect, the kind that bites, is born. Not because you are loved, not because you are adored, but because you are untouchable, because you have nothing left to give that could be stolen. You tell yourself you've been hurt. You tell yourself you've been wronged. You tell yourself you've been abandoned. Good, embrace it. Every wound is a lesson. Every betrayal is a blueprint. Every lie is a map showing you where weakness hides. And the moment you understand that, you start acting differently. You start expecting less from others and more from yourself. You stop giving power away in the form of blind faith. You stop hoping that kindness is reciprocated. And in that refusal, in that cold, deliberate clarity, you discover your edge. The illusions you clung to were sweet but lethal. The warmth you craved was a mirage. The loyalty you demanded was a mirage. Every person who betrayed you didn't fail. You failed by trusting, by expecting, by believing that the world operated on the same principles you held sacred. The realization isn't gentle, it isn't polite, it isn't comforting, but it is liberation. And in liberation there is danger and power. Because those who live in truth while others remain blinded are the ones who dominate silently. They rise while the world sleeps, while the fools cling to fantasies. This isn't bitterness, this is clarity. This isn't hatred, this is understanding. This isn't despair, this is strategy. Love and loyalty aren't things you find, they are tools you wield. If you are smart enough to see them as illusions and strong enough to remain untethered, you learn to engage without expectation, to care without surrender, to give without becoming prey. You see the world for the predator it is and realize that the only way to survive is to be a predator too. One who trusts only their own instincts. One who answers only to themselves. One who fears nothing because attachment is dead. When you finally stop longing for what will never be, when you finally stop being betrayed by fantasies, when you finally stop giving pieces of yourself to those who see value only in your vulnerability, something extraordinary happens. You rise, not just above the betrayal, not just above the lies, but above the illusion itself. You operate from a place of absolute control, absolute clarity, absolute power. And those who once sought to deceive, manipulate, or use you now stand at the edge of your shadow, wondering when the storm will strike, unaware that it has already begun. Within you, the truth is dark, it is ruthless, it is lonely, but it is also pure. It is yours. And when you embrace it, nothing in the world can shake you. People will still lie. People will still cheat. People will still betray. The world will remain a theater of selfishness and deception. And that is fine, because you have learned the ultimate lesson. Love and loyalty are illusions. Pain is reality, and survival demands that you trust no one but yourself. And in that trust, in that self-reliance, in that cold, unforgiving clarity, you are free. Not the naive freedom of those who hope and get hurt, not the temporary freedom of those who cling to comforting lies, but the eternal, dangerous, untouchable freedom of the one who sees through the veil and walks through fire, alone, unshaken, and unstoppable. The illusions die. You survive, you dominate, you rise. The world is a game, a cruel, twisted game, and the players, they don't play fair, they cheat, they lie, they manipulate, they exploit. They smile in your face while sharpening knives behind your back. They set traps, plant illusions, and watch with glee as the knaves stumble into their snare. You were one of those knave ones. You believed in rules. You believed in honor. You believed that fairness existed. You believed that trust had value. You were wrong. Every rule you thought mattered was written to trap you. Every promise you cherished was designed to fracture. Every hand you shook hid a dagger. And the pain of that realization, it's deliciously sharp. It cuts deeper than any wound because it pierces the part of you that still believed in humanity. That part is dead now, buried under rubble of betrayal and disappointment. You've watched friends become foes, lovers turn into liars, allies transform into opportunists, and the most dangerous ones. They wear masks so convincing that you thought they were real. That was their power. That was your mistake. But here's the beauty, now you see the game. Now you know the rules. Not the rules they pretend to follow, but the rules that govern reality. and you have a choice: continue playing by the illusions of fairness, or step off the board entirely. Step off and the game continues without you, but it's no longer your concern. You are no longer bait. You are no longer a target. You are no longer bound by their expectations, their lies, their deceit. You watch, you learn, you adapt. Never play people. Never give them your trust, your heart, your loyalty. Every gift, every vulnerability, every moment of honesty you hand over is a weapon they will wield against you. Every emotion you expose is ammunition for manipulation. You are a fortress, a cold, impenetrable fortress. And the moment you embrace that, the moment you stop being a participant and start being an observer, is the moment you gain power they will never understand. Because power is simple. It doesn't come from anger. It doesn't come from revenge. It doesn't come from the chaos you endure. Power comes from detachment. Power comes from understanding. Power comes from seeing the game for what it is and refusing to play by their rules. You are not their pawn. You are not their victim. You are the shadow that moves unseen, the silent predator, the one they never anticipated. You've been played, yes. You've been lied to, yes. You've been hurt, yes. But that was training. That was preparation. That was the forge in which your mind, your will, and your soul were hardened. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every deceitful smile, every manipulation was a lesson. And the lesson is simple: people are predictable. Their selfishness, their greed, their lust for control, it's all predictable. Learn the patterns, anticipate their moves, prepare your defense, and never let them think they have the upper hand again. The moment you stop playing is terrifying for them. The moment you refuse to react, refuse to care, refuse to engage, they panic. They don't know how to handle someone who cannot be manipulated, someone who cannot be baited, someone who cannot be owned. And that panic, that hesitation, that is your advantage. That is where you strike without striking. That is where you win without playing. They see you and they sense power. They see you and they feel fear, not because you threatened them, not because you attacked, but because you exist beyond their comprehension. And here's the final truth. The game isn't just dangerous because others cheat. It's dangerous because people will always expect you to follow their rules, to conform to their expectations, to play the game the way they dictate. But your mind is your own, your heart is your own, your life is your own. And the moment you refuse to participate in their illusions, the moment you step outside their circus, the moment you detach completely, the game loses its grip. It no longer matters. The chaos around you continues, but you are untouchable. You are invisible. You are free. You watch and you wait. You let others exhaust themselves, scramble for dominance, claw for control. You let them fight over illusions while you grow in silence. You let them exhaust their energy on conflict and drama while you focus on mastery, focus, discipline, and power. You are the calm in the storm, the one they cannot provoke, the one they cannot manipulate, the one they cannot own. You are beyond their reach, and when they finally notice you, when they finally realize you were never part of their game, it's too late. They see the fortress, they see the predator, they see the shadow that has been there all along, watching, learning, waiting, and they tremble. They understand, though silently, that they have underestimated the most dangerous force of all, a person who knows the game but refuses to play. So never play people, never engage with their illusions, never trust their smiles, never surrender your power, protect your mind, guard your will, shield your heart, because the moment you hand even a piece of yourself over to someone else, you lose. And once you lose, they will never let you forget it. But if you refuse, if you stay detached, observant, and above the chaos, you win every single time, not with violence, not with retaliation, not with revenge, but with understanding, with clarity, with detachment, with power. This is your path, the path that others will never understand, the path that makes you untouchable, the path that ensures you survive, thrive, and dominate silently, the path that allows you to look at the world, see the deceit, see the betrayal, see the manipulation, and smile, not because you are happy, not because you are forgiving, not because you are kind, but because you finally see, finally understand, finally rise above. And that is how the predator is born, not by hunting blindly, not by reacting to chaos, not by playing the game like everyone else. The The predator is born by watching, learning, waiting, and stepping off the board. The predator is born by refusing to be a participant. The predator is born by realizing the only power that matters is the power you keep for yourself. And the world will never see it coming. Walking alone isn't weakness. Walking alone is strength disguised as solitude. People look at you, see silence, see distance, see isolation, and they assume loneliness. They assume despair. They assume you're broken. That's their mistake. They confuse your absence with emptiness. They confuse your focus with fragility. Walking alone is a test they can't understand. It's a skill they haven't learned. The world is full of noise, full of chaos, full of people trying to tether you to their mediocrity. They want you dependent. They want you weak. They want you predictable. They want you soft. But walking alone teaches you to survive. Walking alone teaches you to thrive. Walking alone sharpens every edge of your mind, every fiber of your being. You stop asking for validation because you have none to seek. You stop begging for attention because you are your own witness. You stop hoping for loyalty because you only trust yourself. Alone you learn clarity. Alone you learn patience. Alone you learn how terrifyingly unstoppable you can be. And let's be honest, walking alone scares them more than any act of aggression ever could. They are used to noise, to compromise, to manipulation. They are used to control. They are used to dependency. But someone who thrives alone, someone who doesn't need anyone to survive, to grow, to dominate, that breaks their understanding of the world. That forces them to confront their own weakness. That forces them to face the mirror and see just how much of their life is built on borrowed power. You walk alone because they aren't worth your energy. You walk alone because their chaos is irrelevant. You walk alone because your focus is sharper than any bond they could offer. You walk alone because the road they travel is paved with distractions, lies, and illusions. And you walk on the edge of reality, untouched, untethered, unbreakable. You don't follow their scripts. You don't perform their roles. You don't bow to their expectations. You exist outside of their drama, outside of their control, outside of their world. And here's the truth that terrifies them: your isolation is not suffering. It is preparation. It is training. It is the foundation of a mind that cannot be swayed, a heart that cannot be corrupted, a soul that cannot be chained. Every moment you spend alone strengthens you, sharpens you, molds you into something they cannot predict, something they cannot reach, something they will never control. They think you are lonely. You are powerful. They think you are weak. You are indestructible. People are blind to the power of solitude. They think companionship defines strength. They think comfort validates growth. They think loyalty measures value. They are wrong. The only proof that matters is in your survival, your mastery, your independence. Walking alone teaches that. Walking alone proves that. Walking alone demands that. And when you finally return to the world, when you finally engage with people again, you will not be the same. You will be refined. You will be fearless. You will be untouchable. And they will notice. Oh, they will notice. They will whisper, wonder, envy. They will fear what they can't manipulate. They will fear what they can't own. They will fear you. Because walking alone is a declaration, it's a statement, it's a challenge. You exist outside their rules. You exist outside their systems. You exist beyond their understanding. They cannot define you. They cannot limit you. They cannot cage you. And that is what makes walking alone the ultimate power play. It is silent, invisible, deadly. They don't see it coming because they can't imagine it. They have never experienced it. They have never needed it. But you have. You've walked through their chaos, their deceit, their manipulation, and you've survived. You've walked through their betrayal, their lies, their empty promises, and you've endured. And now, alone, you are untouchable. The beauty of walking alone is this: you learn to trust yourself. You learn to depend on your own instincts, your own vision, your own judgment. You learn to silence the voices that tell you you need validation, you need approval, you need rescue. You learn that power is quiet, power is patience. Power is the calm awareness that no one else matters, no one else can save you, and no one else can define your path. That awareness terrifies people because it is freedom they have never tasted. It is clarity they will never understand. It is dominance they cannot achieve. And when the world finally forces your hand, when challenges arise that demand action, you will move differently. You will move with precision. You will move with strategy. You will move with confidence. They will expect panic. They will expect hesitation. They will expect weakness. But all they will get is a calculated force. All they will get is a presence they cannot shake. All they will get is a survivor who has mastered solitude, who has conquered dependence, who has thrived in silence. And that, my friend, is power they will never touch. So walk alone, embrace the solitude, revel in the isolation, ignore their whispers, their judgments, their expectations. You are learning. You are growing. You are building a version of yourself that is stronger, sharper, and more formidable than anything they could imagine. You are walking away from weakness and stepping into invincibility. And the moment they finally recognize it, the moment they finally realize you are untouchable, is the moment they finally understand their place. And their place, always behind you, always trailing, always irrelevant. Walking alone is not loneliness. Walking alone is mastery. Walking alone is preparation. Walking alone is the quiet, lethal forge of strength they will never comprehend, the silent battlefield where only the strong survive and the untethered dominate. And when you step back into the world, when you finally face the chaos once more, they will see you and they will know, not with their minds, but with their fear, that you are untouchable, unstoppable, and beyond their reach. You walk alone, you thrive alone, you are enough alone. And that finally is power. Pain is not a visitor. Pain is not temporary. Pain is the house you were born into, the walls you cannot escape, the echo that never stops. You tried to run. You tried to ignore it. You tried to decorate it with distractions, with excuses, with false smiles and hollow victories. It didn't leave. It doesn't leave. Pain waits. Pain watches. Pain grows comfortable because you invited it. And when pain becomes home, everything changes. Not because pain is kind, not because pain is fair, but because pain is honest. Pain never lies, pain never manipulates. Pain simply is. Pain teaches faster than any teacher, sharper than any mentor, colder than any enemy. Pain doesn't sugarcoat. Pain doesn't negotiate. Pain doesn't make apologies. Pain strips you down to the bone, shows you exactly what you are, and forces you to either break or build something terrifying from the wreckage. Most people run from it. Most people cry over it. Most people beg for relief, for rescue. But when pain becomes home, you stop asking, you stop needing, you stop hoping, you stop begging. You learn to sit in the fire and let it forge you, let it etch strength into your spine, patience into your mind, ruthlessness into your heart. Pain becomes home, and suddenly the world outside looks fragile. Betrayal becomes noise. Lies become whispers. Disappointment becomes background static. Nothing can touch you because you have already been touched by the worst. You have already stared into the abyss of suffering, and the abyss blinked. You have already been burned by life's cruelty, and the flames taught you how to walk through fire without flinching. You have already been abandoned, deceived, humiliated, and stripped of comfort, and yet here you stand, scarred, hardened, unshakable. And that is terrifying to those who never learn to endure. When pain becomes home, solitude stops being punishment. Solitude becomes sanctuary. Silence becomes strategy. Loneliness becomes power, because when the world is already unbearable, when betrayal has already cut you deep, when every relationship, every promise, every expectation has failed you, you stop looking for external salvation. You stop pleading for validation. You stop chasing approval. You become a fortress, a predator, a god in your own right. Pain doesn't just teach you. Pain arms you. Pain gives you a vantage point. Pain gives you the map. Pain gives you clarity that comfort can never provide. And let's be honest, when pain is home, fear is obsolete. You have faced things most people can't even imagine. You have survived nights where hope was dead. You have walked streets of despair barefoot. You have endured humiliation, rejection, failure, and still you breathe, still you move, still you exist. Fear of discomfort, fear of loss, fear of betrayal. That fear died a long time ago, in the same rooms where pain became familiar, in the same nights when silence screamed at you louder than any voice ever could. You are untouchable in ways the comfortable cannot comprehend. Pain becomes home, and suddenly everything else is trivial. The manipulations, the games, the illusions of power. they collapse in front of your eyes, because nothing compares to the truths you have faced alone in your darkest hours. Nothing scares you because you have already stared into the eyes of the worst humanity can offer, and humanity blinked. Nothing weakens you because every wound, every scar, every betrayal was a teacher disguised as torture. Nothing stops you because the chains that once bound you are now burned, melted, and scattered into dust. And here is the dark beauty of it all when pain becomes home. You are no longer a victim. You are no longer the prey. You are no longer the weak link in someone else's story. You are the storm they cannot predict. You are the silence that terrifies noise. You are the reckoning they never saw coming. Every person who doubted you, every person who hurt you, every person who left you in the wreckage, they unknowingly contributed to the monster you have become. They unknowingly fed the beast. They unknowingly polished the blade that now shines in your hands. Pain becomes home, and you learn to love it, not because it is kind, not because it is pleasant, but because it is truthful. Because pain is the soil from which the strongest trees grow. Because pain is the crucible in which warriors are forged. Because pain is the teacher that never fails, the mentor that never lies, the enemy that only strengthens you if you refuse to break. And when you embrace it, when you finally accept it as your home, you walk differently. You speak differently. You exist differently. People feel it. They see it. They fear it. And that fear becomes your leverage, your power, your unspoken declaration. I have endured. I have survived. I have risen. Pain becomes home, and suddenly loneliness is no longer a curse. Silence is no longer emptiness. Struggle is no longer punishment. Pain becomes home, and all these things the world feared would destroy you, become the tools of your ascendancy. Pain becomes home, and you realize that everything they promised, love, comfort, protection, validation, was irrelevant. You don't need it. You never needed it. You only needed yourself. Pain became home, and in that home you found your empire, your throne, your godhood, and the people who tried to limit you, the people who doubted you, the people who left you to rot, they are spectators now. They are whispers in the hallway of your fortress. They are echoes of the weak who could not survive what you did. And that is their place, irrelevant, powerless, beneath you. Pain becomes home, and there is freedom in that. There is clarity in that. There is power in that. Because once you accept that suffering is inevitable, that betrayal is unavoidable, that life is merciless, you stop resisting. You stop running. You stop pleading. You stop compromising. You stop giving others the right to dictate your peace. Pain becomes home, and in that home you reign. Pain becomes home, and in that home you thrive. Pain becomes home, and in that home you are untouchable. Pain becomes home, and in that home the devil himself hesitates before crossing your path. Pain becomes home, and when you finally step out into the world, you do so with the awareness of a god, the patience of a predator, the calm of someone who has survived hell and returned stronger. Pain has molded you. Pain has refound you. And every person, every enemy, every observer, every betrayer, they feel it, they know it, they fear it. Pain became your home, and now you are theirs to fear. Comfort is a cage disguised as safety, a sweet poison that dulls your senses, lulls your ambitions, and convinces you that mediocrity is peace. You sit there numb, pretending the soft walls of your little world protect you, while outside, life devours those who hesitate. Comfort whispers, lies, rest, relax, enjoy. But those are the chains. Every second you linger there, every moment you surrender to ease, you are dying a slow death. And the worst part, you don't even see it. You think you're safe, you think you're fine. You are neither. When you rise beyond comfort, the world trembles because it has never seen a being who refused to stay docile. You start to move while others nap. You start to speak while others whisper. You start to fight while others compromise. Comfort is the drug the weak crave, the excuse of the lazy, the coffin of the mediocre. But you've tasted the bitterness of struggle. You've been forged in fire. You've felt the sting of betrayal and the cold of solitude. You've lived in pain until it became home. Now, comfort is a stranger, and strangers don't control you. Comfort lulls most people into complacency. It teaches them to value ease over growth, softness over strength, acceptance over dominance. It hides like a thief, stealing your potential while you sip tea and scroll aimlessly. But you have eyes that see, a spine that refuses to bend, a hunger that cannot be sedated. You know the truth: ease kills dreams. Laziness crushes empires. Safety is the death of kings and queens. And you are neither king nor queen if you bow to comfort. You are nothing if you choose the pillow over the grind, the excuse over the effort, the illusion of peace over the reality of power. When you rise beyond comfort, fear becomes irrelevant. Comfort is fear's ally. It teaches you to avoid risk, avoid challenge, avoid confrontation. It lulls you into thinking failure is unbearable, pain is permanent, struggle is optional. But you know better. You've walked the nights when hope was dead, when betrayal tasted bitter, when pain was the only companion. You've learned that fear is only as big as your surrender. You've learned that comfort is the mirror of cowardice, and you refuse to bow. You refuse to kneel. You refuse to settle for anything less than the apex of yourself. To rise beyond comfort is to embrace the chaos the world offers. To rise beyond comfort is to stare at pain and smile. To rise beyond comfort is to reject the easy path, the soft bed, the hollow applause. You walk alone, you train alone, you fight alone, you bleed alone, and in that solitude, you discover the infinite power within yourself. Every step outside comfort is a rebellion. Every sacrifice is a declaration. Every sleepless night, every push past exhaustion, every ignored voice that tells you to stop, it's fuel. Fuel to rise higher, strike harder, shine brighter. The weak worship comfort. They build lives around safety. They surround themselves with approval, with consistency, with mediocrity. They do not see the cracks. They do not feel the suffocation. They do not hear the whispers of destiny calling them to something greater. But you do. You hear, you feel, you see, and you know if you remain in comfort, you will wither. If you linger in ease, you will rot. If you bow to peace, you will die. And death in comfort is not glorious. Death in comfort is not honorable. Death in comfort is invisible. Rise beyond comfort or fade into irrelevance. Rising beyond comfort is not glamorous. It is not pleasant. It is not celebrated. There is no applause for those who reject ease. There is no sympathy for those who refuse peace. The world calls it madness. The world calls it obsession. The world calls it cruelty. But those labels do not matter. What matters is your evolution. What matters is your growth. What matters is your refusal to remain small. Comfort is a mirage. It is an illusion. And when you step away from it, you see the real world. The world of the relentless, the world of the powerful, the world of those who carve destiny from chaos. When you rise beyond comfort, you find yourself alone at first. The crowd you once knew will not follow. Friends built on convenience will vanish. Family built on routine will frown. Comfort-based alliances crumble, leaving you solitary in pursuit. But solitude is not punishment. Solitude is freedom. Solitude is clarity. Solitude is the arena where the strongest are molded. You learn who you are when no one applauds. You learn what you want when no one guides. You learn how much you can endure when every cushion of comfort is removed. And then, only then, you realize you were never weak. You were never fragile. You were always capable. To rise beyond comfort is to become terrifyingly alive. You no longer measure life by how soft it feels, but by how much it challenges you. You no longer fear pain because pain is already a friend. You no longer seek approval because approval is an illusion. You no longer chase temporary happiness because happiness without struggle is meaningless. You are a storm that the world cannot contain, a force that will not be silenced, a fire that will consume the cages others hide in. Comfort is behind you. Pain is beside you. Growth is ahead. And here is the ultimate truth. Those who embrace comfort will always envy you. Those who chase ease will always fear you. Those who bow to safety will always respect your audacity in silence. Because you did what they never could. You stood while they sat. You pushed while they paused. You bled while they cowered. You rose while they rested. And now the world bends slightly before you, not because it owes you anything, but because power notices power. Strength recognizes strength. And those who understand nothing but comfort know, deep down, that they are obsolete in your presence. Rise beyond comfort. Reject the cushion. Reject the soft bed. Reject the easy path. Reject the hollow applause. Reject the illusions that lull you into mediocrity. Every ounce of struggle is a brick in your fortress. Every act of discipline is a sword in your arsenal. Every rejection of ease is a declaration that you are not here to play small, not here to settle, not here to die quietly. You are here to dominate, to ascend, to carve your name into existence where mediocrity fears to tread. Comfort is gone. Pain is embraced. Struggle is chosen. And from this choice, you rise, higher than ever, beyond everyone's expectations, beyond every cage, beyond comfort itself.